Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into Mary's perspective on her relationship with Robyn.
Yeah, based on that TLC video transcript that's been circulating, it's quite revealing.
It really is. And, lots of people are trying to figure out complex relationships, right? So seeing Mary talk so openly, it gives some real insight.
Definitely. A very personal take on how things can change, how connections can maybe, well, fray over time. We're looking at her account of that evolution.
Okay, let's jump in.
Mm.
Mary mentions how people see Robyn, calling her a fraud, a liar, saying she's manipulating.
The standard narrative you hear sometimes.
But Mary sort of pushes back, or at least she's careful. She says, I'm cautious because I don't think it was like intentional manipulation, and adds, I don't either.
That's interesting, that hesitancy. It's like she separates the outcome from the motivation.
Right. So maybe the actions felt manipulative, but she doesn't think Robyn meant them that way. Or maybe saw other forces at play.
Possibly. Which actually ties into her next point about Cody's potential influence.
Yeah, this idea she mentions about Robyn becoming the new insider or the new shiny toy.
That's a strong image.
It is. And it created, in Mary's view, this dynamic of them against everybody else.
Which immediately changes things, doesn't it? If you suddenly feel like you're on the outside of a core group.
Yeah, it creates distance. And Mary says this led to some really, inconsistent behavior from Robyn.
Oh, so?
She describes Robyn acting like a best friend 1 minute.
Okay.
And then just like completely ignoring her the next, hurting her feelings. Mary's reaction was pretty blunt. Like, that's really up. Like, either be an asshole or don't.
Wow. Yeah, that inconsistency is tough. It creates whiplash, makes it hard to trust, right? You don't know where you stand.
Exactly. And it's such a stark contrast to how Mary initially felt about the relationship. She said she felt it was very solid, very close.
So a definite shift from that strong foundation. It shows how things can erode.
Definitely. And she points to a very specific moment, a turning point.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
When she moved, Mary says, that was when things changed. She changed it after that. Pretty clear statement.
Very specific. Linking the change directly to that external event, the move, it makes you wonder how much physical closeness or maybe the change in environment affected the dynamic.
Could be. And Mary also makes a point of saying she was always loyal before that. She says, I always had Mary's back, presumably meaning Robyn's back there, given the context, even when people were plotting against her, ignoring her.
So she felt she was consistently supportive.
Yeah. And she says, I never felt a divide other than when she moved. And then just plainly, I always cared.
You get a real sense of perhaps feeling let down. Like she put in the effort, the loyalty, and didn't feel it was reciprocated after that point.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
So to kind of sum it up, Mary sees this major shift happening right after Robyn moved, going from close and solid
to distant and inconsistent. Yeah.
And that inconsistency seems to be the real source of the hurt for her.
It really highlights how perceived shifts in loyalty or alliances, maybe triggered by external changes, can just fundamentally alter relationships, even ones that seem strong.
It does make you think, doesn't it? How much is intentional action versus just circumstances changing people or the way they interact? And how do we even know the difference in our own relationship?
That's the tricky part. Discerning intent versus impact and how outside factors play in. It's definitely food for thought.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for hashing this out. Lots to consider there.